to the Great Light Show. This is showing how light is being separated. Notice the path can be easily followed. The light spreads out from the source in all directions. We can see how a mirror reflects light. We can see how a prism bends the rays in different directions. And light can even be bent around corners in tubes and pipes. Now, a reflecting surface used to control light. The rays leave their source and bounce back in the same path. If we place a lens like this in front of the light, the rays are bent inward. No matter the ways the light hits the reflector, they bounce back in an even parallel path, even when it's smooth. In my channel, we discussed density, mass, volume, and how alchemy works, changing the solid into liquid, into gas, and energy, and sound waves, and perspective. How seeing things with your eye can play a significant role in everything and all that you see in that great source of light. Each morning and each night, the stars and constellations that we get our zodiac from, and the wonderful, magnificent display of water and the effects of sound and light and water that travel around us that we see every day. This wonderful, magnificent, extraordinary gift that we call life. Yet, at the top, Polaris, the mighty light, that one light that doesn't move, that many will come and go as all the other stars spin around it. We see Polaris, that top light that all the other stars are circling around, that's right above our center world at the North Pole, where the great magnet sits as we watch the ball of light go around. It is actually lighting up from a macrocosm view, high level, to the viewer that we get all of our zodiac and stories and religions from. This magnificent light show. On this great, grand scale of a calendar. Even thunder and lightning. This light and electricity itself, with the four elements, the molecules in the air, creating everything you see around you. This is where you get your astrology from. The movements, this is where the stories come from. This is where mythology comes from. Stories of each year, the movements of these lights that we call stars. To the Big Dipper some, the Great Polar Bear to others, all stemming from the mighty Polaris, the stories of old. We'll get even into how in this great light show we've been able to utilize technology to see exactly through great observation what was truth and what was lies in no matter what we're told. The numbers and colors of things all match in line with one another in every aspect. Everything in nature contains between one or all four of the elements. So 3 stars can be seen within the moon, and these movements from the great lights were recorded on the pyramids below by ancient civilizations, which is how they were able to create a structure such as the pyramids that line directly in with 3 stars themselves. So the observance of them each year were given their own names throughout time. So that which they may call just a great pyramid, we figured out that it has the structure made like almost a human brain, yet it also lines in with the stars in the sky themselves. When you observe this each year through time, they've given their own names. So it's based on someone's idea and given its own name to. But these truths will always remain because you are a part of this light show as well. So we can see from above the entire zodiac, and it spins around us, giving us our months, the ways to count days, years. The North Pole, the center of where we really live, gives off the aurora borealis, which is the northern lights. Those who live there get a nice good show. So a part of that is the elements themselves. When you have the mist of the sky, the water, you have the air, you have the surrounding ice of the ice wall, which is containment for our waters that we've discussed on our channel. So, in this great light show, we see a containment of water, of ice. If you extract all the positive out of all of this and utilize that, you'll see that the good things and the ultimate truth can never be separated. That they're just copying what they have been observing. As to where the truth may have not been scattered, but it's just been in our face the whole time, that even you yourself can give names to such events. It's just up to you to choose your program. And that's pretty much what a person does when they choose a religion. So, if this great life source, which has to be male and female, the great duality in all that we see, is shining down its light that shoots down and sets off, just like in the beginning of this video, a magnificent display and breakup of the light to center point 1 in particular, to give life and nutrition in the daytime, that its flame would burn so hot, or its reflecting spot would burn so hot. The grand scale of the grand calendar has seen many men live and die. come and go, yet make trees grow, losing its leaves every year and growing back, all within 12 months, like 12 brothers or 12 tribes of Israel, 12 disciples. 12 months is what their son of the creators rides on, because it's all so simple. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, for those of you who know music. Different stars right in your face. And just like the piano keys, just like the colors, just like the fruit, it's like the insects, the great duality. Piano keys and all that you see. So if you go on the all good things are connected and they do work together as truth, this cannot be summed up in a name as Christian or a title. All the goodness of nature and everything, from music, working with the elements, working with colors, and everything around you contains these 4 elements, even us. And that which is the Son of God, for those of you who are in chemistry and know about the anode, and how numbers work, you'll see the path of the sun in its 12-month cycle is working hand in hand in life itself. If the trees and the air and the wind and even us humans are receiving life from this great sun, so it's running around us with everything. Everything we see, even the aurora borealis, is letting us know that there is a greater that is just reflecting. But it's not the great source of light. Now the anode, of course, for the chemist, knows that it works with the cathode. And moon cycle, how it has. The moon cycle gives us our months. And you'll see the domino effect in all that you do, from numbers and colors to what you're seeing is the direct alignment of piano keys, colors, numbers, and even the names of, once again, like Greek mythology and stories of old that have stimulated from the great cosmic light show. And so if that white light hits a prism and bends it to 7 colors of the stars, stimulating from the great source light, or many colors, one should also notice the fascination how we as people are many different types and colors. This lines in with the chemist, of course. It's going to line in with the artist, the painter, who uses colors, the astrologist who studies the zodiac, the physicist, the geologist who just pays attention to the land that we live on. But as I said before, we are like fruit, just different types. All stemming from the grand source light. The light reflected that creates the other colors also have sound, vibrations, and numbers. It just gives us our angles and degrees and math, science. If you learned the piano, if you learned how to paint and see how it lines in together with everything in this magnificent, beautiful, grand show. But just when that prism hits that white light, splitting off colors to where you can create music and sound vibrations through water, and they would let off the same forms that we see in the sky that we call stars, that give off their color from this grand scale of light. Because you're going to continue to see the moon, you're going to continue to see the stars in the sky, and live and die, and made a religion, or made in falsehood. But if you extract all the goodness and truth with no falsehood, with the great beauty of music, the great beauty of painting, the great beauty of numbers and counting, the great beauty of mixing colors to create more colors, see how the fascination of numbers work with colors. And it's all coming back to you. When they align with the colors and the numbers, and you find out that the grand source of light is the unique allowance of existence and mixing of all people, fruit, breeds, colors, trees, instruments, numbers, and all. That which they label a god or god and goddess, in my opinion, because it's a duality and everything. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, for those of you who know music, the musicians. The vibrations and colors that each one of these significant numbers and instruments that you may play, they know. Each chord strikes a different representation of the planets. The question is, what song is being played, as I said in previous videos, as if they were dancing, the macro scale. Four seasons, four elements, four horsemen of the apocalypse, which means awakening. Then you have your own systematical vibration system that you created, all just by speaking. because this doesn't require a payment of 10% of your earnings. This doesn't require a praise or worship. This will always be whether you live or whether you die. But if you've been led to this video, you are here for this reason. The Spirit of Truth has called you to be more than what you're being told. Truth has called you to know, to set you free, to allow you to identify falsehood no matter what program you choose, if you choose a program. That all good things in truth will always work together, and it will always be, no matter what comes against you. So, there's a grand calendar where what we see before our eyes is pretty much a micro version of something larger. And that which is created must be observed. Just in the same way, something is observing you because you were created. Every angle of a line that could ever be put together, after a while, we were staring at it as humans. We created our own languages through the constant seeing of what you're observing and not knowing. Eventually, those lines had a maximum of different shapes you can make. It's only so many. So years and years and years will keep going on, and we master it. And then you figure this out, and you put that with this. We have labels. So, and this is all languages. So, the creation of zodiacs and religions and teachings are all available at the hand of the observer after so long. And to notice that the youth were born not knowing, and eventually we're going to wonder, the same way that we've all done for who knows how long, thousands of years, to be able to create religions and things like that. It's been pretty long. So the observation takes a magnificent turn in a day and age where we could potentially absorb all the goodness around us and really see that which is truth, and no matter what you're told. Now, once again, these lights and this show that we see don't have labels, don't come down to you to tell you what they should be called. This is what we've done, but of fire, earth, water, and air, and everything that we see around us. has a 12-part function. So, this simulation was made because you're being observed. The good thing is you need that anode and the cathode. And those of you who know in that field, with those you need salt water. And what better but a great massive 70% earth of salt water. And that is the anode, the sun, and the cathode, the moon. It's a full system ran operationally on its own. This is how you create. They'll keep on spinning around us and keep on spinning and keep on spinning and keep on spinning. The anode and cathode. It made perfect sense. The great light that powers all, once again, and just almost similar to like an automobile. You need a positive charge and you need a negative charge to make the system run on its own. That's what makes the car run. Just in all electronics, pretty much. And now you know how electronics operate. But ours is a salt water with the anode and cathode. You have the great and powerful light at the top, which is shooting down. The firmament glass dome, which is a reflector, which is why the sky looks blue. Mostly the ocean is blue, so it's reflecting. The light is shooting down, giving us the stars representations. So every little star you see is actually particles of light stemming from a source light at the top. The source light the moon was called the daughter of God, of course, the cathode. Just like the human body and the brain, if you've been paying attention to the previous videos on my channel. You look at the moon movements through each month, then we notice that the moon cycles are a good way to tell the days. We've altered months to end at 30 and 29, but they can be counted on a 28-day space. The moon cycles are a 28-day cycle. The 3x3 cube, for example, if you had 27 cubes and stacked them together, you'd get 28 cubes. The moon cycles move exactly similar to the lens like in a camera. So our astrology, once again, comes from this grand light show that we see before our eyes. Seeing that our constellations make similar or the same positions and tell the same stories each year is an easy way to create a story and utilize that as humans, and even set it as a stamp in history as something that actually happened. But as we can see, the anode and the cathode in our salt water is one of the greatest experiments we will ever see and live in. Regardless of who or what created us. Just off observation alone. So, once again, extracting all that is good, we see a very good shining light at the end of the tunnel. Well, let's open our eyes and see. When it's above our heads, we notice that it's going around. It's going in and out at different times. In the spring, the summer, the fall, each month, right? Just like a figure eight. It's a reflection because the dome itself is a mirror. The light is coming from Polaris. The dome is working like a reflector, the parabolic reflector we saw at the beginning. Reflecting. When it's above our head, it's still shining down. It's in the center. It's a hot spot. So if the source light is the creator of multiple colors, then the source light is the creator of all things. Polaris is the one. Like the Vista of the North Star. That's where the Big Bear to some, Big Dipper to some people. But those are waters above. Remember the anime Vista of the North Star? I used to watch that too. He had it on his chest. It was the North Star, Polaris. It's our source of light. But it's so powerful. The waters above is shielding the mass of it, giving us the great beauty that we see around us. But the reflector alone is powerful enough to cause the trees and gives us seasons.
You are now listening to Anyone Will.
So us down here, the observer, we're witnessing a hot spot giving life. Just like the old cosmology said, it's definitely a divine creation.
Welcome to our music.
When I was a kid, growing up, we used to see this picture in the Bibles. It looked exactly like this. Great light show. The great light show. Polaris.
Welcome to our music family.
The Aurora Borealis is witness of this too. Those living there, once again, get to see a nice good light show coming from the North Pole. Some even say the Indians used to believe this light gives off energy and nutrition to the soul. So what will make us think about something like this?
Astrology. Astrology is simply the reading and logging of the astral cycles and patterns of our sun, moon, planets, stars, and all other celestial bodies. Knowledge of the cyclical patterns of the heavens allows us to better understand cycles and patterns of natural phenomenon as well as human behavior here on Earth. Most ancient cultures knew that we humans here on Earth were directly affected by the celestial energies and cycles of the heavens. They also understood that everything on Earth and in our universe is cyclical and not linear. There is nothing new under the sun. That which has happened before will happen again. The ancients knew that planets, stars, and other such celestial bodies all carry their own unique individual energy signatures that inadvertently affect us as humans here on Earth. This is why the sun makes us feel a certain way at certain times of the year, and the moon affects us in certain ways depending on its phases. When the sun is at its peak on a beautiful summer's day, we humans release copious amounts of melatonin, which generally makes us happy. And when there is a full lunar moon at certain times of the year, humans release copious amounts of serotonin, which can make us behave like, well, lunatics. This is true of all the other planets, stars, and celestial bodies. All the heavenly energy bodies subconsciously affect us all, individually and collectively, at certain times of the day, month, year, season, decade, century, millennium, or cosmic age. Knowing which planets and stars release which energies at certain times allows us to preempt and understand human conscious behavior and progression now and in the future. That's the beauty of astrology. It shows us cycles, and cycles help us to predict the future. Everything in our universe is connected, from the microcosm to the macrocosm. As above, so below. As within, so without. So what does the year 2020, specifically the 21st of December, have to do with all of this? Well, everything. Let me explain. If human conscious behavior here on Earth is cyclically mirrored to astrological cycles and phenomenon, then all we have to do to predict the future is understand which astral cycles affect humans, how and when they happen. When a planet or star constellation is at its peak energy release for us humans to subconsciously receive, we say that planet or star constellation is exalted. When certain planets and stars are exalted, at the same time, we say they are conjunct. The more exalted planets and star constellations are in conjunction at the same time, the more influential those energies will be for us here on Earth. Now, not all planets and stars project the same amount of energy. Some planets and stars are more powerful than others. In our known universe, the planets Saturn and Jupiter are both extremely powerful energies. When these two planets are in conjunction, this is known as a great conjunction. At certain cyclical times, great conjunctions can be so powerful that they create celestial phenomenon. These celestial phenomenon are what we might call cosmic events. Cosmic events rarely happen. For one to happen, many other varying planets and stars have to be aligned at specific places at the exact same time as a great conjunction. The most famous cosmic event on Earth is of course the historic Great Deluge, or biblical flood, that many historians, mythologies, and religions still talk about to this day. Such phenomenon usually occurs at the end or beginning of large cosmic cycles. Naturally, as above, so below, these celestial events, when they do happen, have a direct, almost instant impact on us here on Earth. The bigger the celestial event, the bigger the conscious and physical impact we experience. Right now, as you listen to this, we are all experiencing the end of a cosmic cycle. How do I know? Well, it's written in the stars. Astrology. The planets and stars are shifting into dramatic positions, and these celestial dramas are reflecting here on Earth as political, financial, social, and cultural chaos. This current dramatic shift we are experiencing will rapidly accelerate during the course of 2020 and will end with a dramatic closing scene. This closing scene is the main event, which will happen on the 21st of December 2020. So, let's now walk through the 2020 celestial script. Let's start from the beginning of 2020. From January until December 2020, we will experience the very rare triple conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. These three planets are super energy planets, so for them to conjunct 3 times in 1 year is huge, to say the least. According to astrologers, the last time Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto were conjunct in Capricorn was in 1894 BCE, just over 3,000 years ago. And now it's about to happen again in 2020. The 1894 BCE triple conjunction is said to have triggered the birth of the great empire of Babylon and the Sumerian people that went on to rule and dominate the world for many millennia after. And now, in 2020, more than 3,000 years later, we will experience yet another great triple conjunction. However, unlike the triple conjunction that birthed Babylonia 3,000 years ago, which lasted only a few months, the coming Capricorn trifecta in 2020 will last almost an entire year. As you can see, for these Titan energies to meet 3 times in 1 year is super rare. It marks significant and great change. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Next, we have the Saturn and Pluto conjunction. Saturn and Pluto will make their exact conjunction in Capricorn on January the 12th, 2020. Saturn-Pluto conjunctions are relatively rare events that happen approximately every 33 to 38 years and last slightly over 2 years. Saturn and Pluto are aligning for the first time since 1981. The time before that was 1947. So as you can see, this cycle is a big deal and has much to do with politics and renewal. Why do I say this? Well, the last Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 1981 heralded the birth of the internet and PC. And the one before that, in 1947, was the beginning of a new era after World War II. Next, we have the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. Jupiter and Pluto generally meet once every 13 years. However, in 2020, they will be meeting 3 times in the same year. They will meet on April the 4th, June the 30th, and November the 12th. Now, for these 2 planets to meet 3 times in 1 solar year is extremely rare. The last time Jupiter and Pluto met was once in December 2007, just before the start of the 2008 financial world crisis. The next time they will meet will be once again in the year 2033. So, as you can see, we are extremely lucky to be having a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction not once, but 3 times this year. Next, we have the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. When Saturn and Jupiter meet, it's called a great conjunction, as we've already established. Great conjunctions occur about every 20 years. Great conjunction years are always preceded by great changes here on Earth, hence the term Great Conjunction. However, not only are we going to have a Jupiter and Saturn Great Conjunction in 2020, incredibly, this Great Conjunction happens to fall on December the 21st, the time of our December solstice. This has not happened for thousands of years. Now, why is this significant, you might ask? Well, every year on the 21st of December, we have something called the solstice. On its own, this is an astrological special little event for many reasons. During this time of the year, the sun changes its celestial transitional path along the electromagnetic dome of our sky, starting on the 21st and ending on the 25th of December. Essentially, the sun allegorically dies on the 21st and is reborn on the 25th. In other words, the sun changes its frequency, setting the tone for the upcoming solar year. This little event marks the birth of the sun and a new solar year. It is also the shortest day of the year if you're in the northern hemisphere, or the longest day of the year if you're in the southern hemisphere. This event happens every year, but the energy shift is so subtle we barely consciously notice any change. But that's not the only solstice surprise of 2020. On the same day as the June 21st, 2020 solstice, we will also have an annular solar eclipse. Interestingly, we just had a very dramatic annular solar eclipse on the 26th of December 2019, just after the December solstice.
Welcome to our moving family.